And what I do? I beat Becky Lynch. Just like that. When it's all said and done, will you be man enough to say thank you, Trish? And in fact, I'm the best and the greatest woman to ever do this.
So, the Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus rivalry feud that was going on was definitely noteworthy. But did it flop? Stay tuned. Let's go. Hey, what's going on YouTube land? It's your boy TJ and welcome to my YouTube channel Wrestling Nostalgia. Back at it again with yet another wrestling content video. And this particular video is the Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch feud and did it flop? I'm going to give my opinion at the end of the video, of course. But let's go ahead without further ado and get right into the subject matter. So this feud started off with a betrayal, of course, because Lita and Becky Lynch had to defend their women's tag team titles up against Liv and Raquel. But Lita, unbeknownst to any of us, got taken out by Trish. So Trish essentially took Lita's spot in the women's tag team championship match. Trish Stratus wound up getting pinned by Liv Morgan, and therefore the feud kicked off. So Becky Lynch was about to leave the ring after she hugged Trish Stratus, and I guess she said that, oh, we'll get him next time, da-da-da-da. So she wound up getting beat the hell out of by Trish Stratus, and this is what kicked off the feud. The next week, Trish Stratus said that basically, I'm no nostalgia act. I'm a legend.
Not a nostalgia act. I am not your childhood fantasy, and I sure as hell am nobody's sidekick. I am the greatest of all time, and I am the single most important figure in the history of WWE.
And yada yada yada. And basically said that I'm the real reason why the women's revolution has started in the first place, because nobody cared about women's wrestling. They were essentially eye candy, etc., etc. And yeah, I believe the next week or something like that, I think she cut like another promo, and I think she said something about Becky Lynch's daughter and how dirty she was or something like that along the lines.
You're as gullible as Becky when she thought I was her friend.
And then Becky Lynch wound up coming up behind her and beating her up, and the two kind of like had a feud back and forth. So this was like right before the whole Night of Champions pay-per-view event, which is crazy because it was Night of Champions and they were still on the card. And still to this day, it baffles me that Roman Reigns didn't defend his Universal Championship at the time before the pay-per-view. I was like, if this is Night of Champions, why he... But he was fighting for a tag team. Hey, it is what it is. Whatever. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next. So they had a whole contract signing, and this was like the next week or whatever after the beatdown, I believe. They had, exchanged words or whatever. I'm not going to get all into it, but I remember Becky Lynch said that, oh, life's a beach. And then she said, woof, woof, woof. And I was like, oh.
Welcome to the big time. Woof, woof. Whoa.
The match in and of itself actually was it was really, really good. I was like, okay, Trish didn't miss a step. I was like, bet. So the two had a cute little back and forth or whatever, and all of a sudden, Zoe Starks came out, and I was like, what in the world? And she wound up hitting the Z360, and she helped Trish Stratus.
Attacking Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus with satisfaction. Cover. Stratus beats
which I knew she was going to win and was the right decision. 1, 2, 3, she wound up hitting her Stratusfaction, and she won the match. I was like, okay, cool, because I kind of knew they were going to do like a 3-for-3 type of thing or whatever, and I'm like, all right, bet. And I was here for it. I was like, okay, we're going to see what this feud going to be given. It started off pretty hot. I was like, all right, bet. And then I believe they had like cut a promo, and she basically said that, she's going to try to mold her into the next world champion or something along those lines. Like I said, I'm not going to get into like the whole promo battle or whatever. I remember Trish Stratus had a qualifying match for the women's Money in the Bank match. I was like, okay, cool. I already knew she was going to win. It didn't matter who she was going to face, but it was Raquel Rodriguez. I was like, okay, I don't know how they're going to do this. And they kind of did like lazy booking because she wound up getting disqualified or something like that, or counted out. No, she got disqualified because I believe somebody attacked Trish, right? I don't remember. I got to go back, but I'm going to edit this video to see the result of that match. But I do remember it was either a count out or disqualification. I know for a fact it was the DQ. Either somebody used a weapon or somebody interfered. I don't remember. But like I said, I'm going to edit this video and put it in just to get the facts straight. But I do remember that she won in a fluky way. And I was like, okay, y'all could have, had her put her feet on the rope or something, like, you know what I'm saying? But whatever. So then the two were in Money in the Bank ladder match. Of course, neither one of them won. But they definitely were showing that their rivalry was still going on strong. So far, this rivalry was pretty decent. I was like, all right, cool. I think what kind of lost me, though, after a while was the whole Montreal situation. I think that's what took me out. And their feud didn't end at SummerSlam because they were coming up on SummerSlam around that time after the whole Money in the Bank situation happened. So I was like, okay, cool. So we're going to see what's going to happen after this because obviously they're going to have another match. They did. They had it in Trish's home state, not her home city. I remember that because I remember she cut a season promo about, oh, well, this ain't Toronto, Ontario, Canada, or whatever. It don't really matter. I was like, ooh, or something along those lines. So I'm like, okay, Trish.
Okay, bitch.
And then the match ended in a DQ or something. I was like, what in the hell? I know this freaking rivalry ain't going to end like this. And then I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark had like a match. Actually, two, right? I think they had like a match. Yeah, I believe the first match, Zoe Starks went over. And the stipulation was that if Becky Lynch won, that she was going to have her match 101 against Trish Stratus. So Zoe went over. And then I think Becky had asked for like another match. And I think this time she said if Zoe Stark wins, that Becky Lynch was going to go ahead and get a thank you Trish tatted on her or whatever. It was just so weird. But I mean, of course, Becky eventually won the match with Zoe Stark. And that was actually a Falls Count Anywhere match before, and Zoe had went over. And then there was another match, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a street fight match. And Becky Lynch had won. I think this was like right before Payback. But like I said, let me go ahead and piggyback off of SummerSlam. So two things happened at SummerSlam that was really, really weird to me. For one, I'm thinking, okay, this match is going to end at SummerSlam. All right, what's about to happen? So it never came to be. They put, of all matches, they set up there and put Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look it up online, but they released her. So y'all did all that just to release her anyway? You got to be freaking kidding me. Like, and this was like Ronda Rousey's last match. Y'all could have freaking put that on Raw. I'm sorry, hindsight 2020, this was a waste. And I believe, and for real, if they would have never made it an MMA rules match, this would have been a lot better. Like, I would have even been okay with a submission match if that was the case. But, gotta protect Ronda Rousey, even though she don't give a damn about the business and crap in the ring. But hey, whatever. So that whole thing. And then, like I said, it did make it on the SummerSlam card, which we all thought it was. And then the Women's World Championship wasn't even defended. And that was supposed to happen at SummerSlam. And allegedly, which I know was probably storyline-wise, Raquel Rodriguez had got injured. And that's why they had to do it on the Payback pay-per-view. So that's two matches that was like marquee matches that was way more important. But because Ronda Rousey was retiring from the WWE, oh, we had to do the rollout for her. And I almost forgot, I need to do a video on Ronda Rousey and if her second run was a flop or not. Oh, because I got opinions, okay? Be on the lookout for that video. I need to figure out how I'm going to formulate that because, whew. Everybody talk about a charisma vacuum. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. So Trish and Becky Lynch had a match. I believe it ended in a double count out, right? And they were all fighting in the rafters and everything like that. Trish was all like, oh yeah, you know, this is over with and whatever, forget her or whatever. So Adam Pearce was like, oh, this is not far from over. You two are going to have a matchup, and not just any old match. Y'all going to have a steel cage match at Payback. Goodbye. And she was all like, a steel cage match? Not gonna lie. Steel cage match? Absolutely fantastic. What did Future say? Sensational.
Sensational.
But yes, that match was definitely a must-see. I would actually rewatch that over and over and over again. Matter of fact, I believe on that Payback pay-per-view, that was probably one of the best matches on the whole card. Like, they actually did not come to play. They have done, like, some amazing things in that steel cage match, I believe. Trish Stratus had did a Widow's Peak. I remember she did a super stratisfaction on the top rope off of the cage. I was like, God damn! I was like, okay, Trish was in her bag in this match, and man, she came out looking crazy. Like, she had a bunch of bruises all on her face. Even Zoe Starks had a spot in that match and tried to help out her girl and all that other stuff. It did not work out. Oh my goodness, Becky Lynch just was not gonna let go. I believe Becky Lynch did a twist of fate too, or whatever in that match. But anyways, when it was all said and done, Becky Lynch definitely won the feud. She won the steel cage match. And the breakup of Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus pursued because Trish was all like, oh, where were you? You're useless and da-da-da-da. They were going back and forth. Oh, and another noteworthy thing, I hope I find this clip because, man, I was like, what? Because Trish Stratus before the match or whatever, I guess one of the fans or whatever, like trying to get all in her head. And she was like, go f*** yourself or something like that or something along those lines. And I was like,
You're gonna lose to Rebecca.
okay. She said, baby, stop playing with me. I ain't winning now. But yeah, Zoe Starks hit her with a 360 and left Trish in the middle of the ring by herself. But definitely kudos to my moms because Trish definitely did her thing. And also, Becky Lynch, too, she did her thing, too. I can't sit up there and just bit up one and not the other. They both definitely carried this feud. They both held their end of the bargain. And the match, and the last match was definitely the best. But did the feud flop? In my honest opinion, no. It had moments in there where it was just like, okay, because, and it wasn't even really on them. It was the fact that why would in the world would y'all not have one of the biggest pay-per-views, SummerSlam, and you don't put them on the card? You gotta be freaking kidding me, bro. And then for Ronda, you know what? Like I said, that video coming. Like that really sparked something in me. That video's coming because for y'all to sit up there and not put Trish and Becky Lynch, which had one of the potentials to be one of the great. I mean, it still was a great feud. It's just the fact that y'all did not put it on the SummerSlam card. They still did their thing. Their feud definitely, to me, didn't flop. It had the potential to, but they held their end of the bargain. They knew to make it a stipulation match. I'm so glad that they did that. But honestly, I was just so over. Like, it made me not like Ronda even more. But like I said, we off that. We off that. But did the feud flop? No. They definitely held their end of the bargain. This was one of the best non-title women's feud that I can remember to date. They didn't have a championship involved. And they definitely could tip their hats off to this. Because honestly, I can't remember in recent memory, like at least before this, a women's feud that actually carried and did their thing. The thing that took me out of it was the fact that this was not on the SummerSlam card. I think that's what really took me out. And then with that lackluster MMA fight, like this definitely deserved to have been on SummerSlam, but what put me back in it was the steel cage match. But other than that, no, the feud did not flop. The feud definitely carried. It had moments in there where it was like, you know, I kind of got taken out of it, but that was the only thing that really took me out of it. But honestly, the two women carried their weight. They did their thing. And yeah, we're just going to end it right there. Becky Lynch, I'm not the biggest fan of her. I'm going to be honest for reasons, but hey, that's not what I'm about to talk about. Trish Stratus is definitely one of my faves. Wouldn't mind seeing a championship reign out of her somewhere down the line for the women's championship. Definitely well deserved after all the hard work that she's done for the business and everything like that. 20 plus years later, and she's still going like she is back in 2005. But comment down below, how did you guys feel about the feud? Do you feel like that it flopped, that it was a bop? Were you here for it? Were you not? Comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. And oh, whose side were you on? Were you on Trish's side, or were you on the man Becky Lynch's side? Like, share, and subscribe. How we go to the channel. Your love and support is definitely greatly appreciated. And welcome. Peace. TJ, I'm out.
You